Okay. Let's see if this works. The real question is, I see that I'm streaming. The real question is this. Is the new upgrade to the OS High Sierra, is that going to help? So far, so good. My computer definitely seems to be liking it better. Okay, so today we're doing a crypto Q&A. Big thanks to user Bathleth in CryptoSync for pointing out that the form that I had sent out yesterday for people to check questions or have questions be answered, ask questions is the term I'm looking for, was set to private. So people didn't do that until I just opened that up, which was like 45 minutes ago. So we have one question on the forum. Otherwise, I'll just take them in the Discord, or I will just make them up based on what other people have been talking to me about who didn't explicitly put them in the question box. In the future, I will make sure that any public questionnaires are open and people can actually do what they need to do. Okay, so the first question I got was, are there any new projects that I'm excited about in the cryptocurrency space? And the truth is, there are a lot of projects that are coming up, mainly related to VeChain's blockchain, that I think are really interesting. OceanX, there's some really cool stuff happening in the space, but in terms of new projects, there's nothing that has blown me away that says, okay, this is some revolutionary thing. This is where we should be putting our funds into. Obviously, this goes part and parcel with the entire cryptosphere kind of continuing its downward trend, which you really don't want to not look at. You want to pay attention to that when you're looking at projects. It's, of course, you can still identify projects that are fundamentally sound, but you want to be aware that this is maybe not the best space for new projects to be started. You also have a lot of things going on, like ICOs that happened in late 2017 and later. They're running out of cash. The Ethereum they raised, if they haven't already cashed it out, is worth far less than it was. And this is one of my kind of sticking points with Ethereum in general, is that it creates this weird dynamic where you raise funds through Ethereum, but if you actually want to spend that money, liquid to, say, hire someone and they don't want to get paid in Ethereum, you have to then sell it on the market or sell it OTC or come up with some combination of doing that. And that's something that I thought was another kind of dagger when it comes to scalability and just the logistics of doing that. So to get to this question, which I know I'm giving a kind of a roundabout answer to, but yeah, there haven't been a ton of projects that have caught my eye that are new, so to speak. One that I really have been paying attention to is Holochain. We spoke about that a little bit on the podcast I did with Michael Garfield on Synchronicity. That's interesting. Again, this is something that would not be a blockchain per se, and it's kind of got a completely different mechanism, which is not really a hedge against Bitcoin or blockchain, but something that's different. And you see a lot of other projects kind of trying to do that, but this one is very in-depth. I'm not going to get into it now, but it's certainly worth looking at. I'm not saying to buy it or sell it. It's just certainly worth looking at in terms of understanding some of the things that people are looking at. In terms of the other stuff, it's not anything. I'd just be paying attention to the stuff that exists that is doing well or not doing well. I have been keeping an eye on Ethereum Classic, not just because of the impending seemingly ability to buy and sell it on Coinbase, which is good for liquidity and good for mind share, but because I've said for a while that Ethereum to me has a lot of fundamental flaws, which I won't recapitulate here, but I like Ethereum Classic as something as kind of that works as a real decentralized application type of project. So yeah, in terms of new projects, not really. There's not a ton of stuff that I'm anticipating. Again, there are some ICOs on upcoming ICOs on the VeChain network that I'm really excited about. Let's talk a little bit about VeChain. I know we've been talking about it in the server. I've said to people who are in CryptoSync, expect prices to remain suppressed and low throughout the month of August. And that was irrespective of whether Bitcoin would be doing well or not well. It was just something that, you could tell, given the dynamics of who was able to move who, kind of some of the order book stuff that's going on, some of the clear kind of bot selling that keeps the price low psychologically, that this was going to continue to happen. It has continued to happen, obviously, with the price of VeChain. If you were looking in the Venn token department, about $1.12, whereas now it's VET, so we're looking at about a little over a cent. This has been a pretty rough and tough pill to swallow for people who are Xnode holders, right? People who have held the same amount of VET since March, typically longer, who have seen their assets depreciate at a ridiculously quick amount. It's been brutal. That said, a lot of us who invested in this didn't do this with the hopes that this was going to be something that, makes us wealthy and rich in a year. It's something that we believed in the overall vision and idea of kind of moving some of the useful aspects of blockchain and distributed ledger technology to enterprises that could benefit from it. So that's not something that's going to be quick. It's not something that's going to take months. It might not even take a year. It might not even take years. It could take multiple years, 5 years. But to actually be able to successfully implement that would be something, that would really be worthwhile. Plus, the ecosystem and kind of the professionality of VeChain continues to really just surprise and in a good way, instill confidence for people who continue to pay attention. Now, if you're not paying attention, it's terrible, right? It's the worst thing ever. All your assets are going down. You don't know why. This is the worst. You hit a dud. You hit a lemon. Let's get out. Now, obviously, a lot of people are doing that. That's also what we're seeing in the entire market, in general. Bitcoin too, right? People are getting fed up. If you've been riding in this for almost a year and you're seeing nothing, things are going up, and you could have sold them multiple times and made a little bit of profit, people start to get a little wary. Now, there's a lot of business, and we'll just pretend this is a question. What's going on with the ETF? A lot of people think that this is ETF related. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. That's not the point. The point is that an ETF isn't the most important thing for cryptocurrency's survival. And if you think that it is, you probably haven't been paying attention to cryptocurrency for that long, because it's not. Decentralization is usually the most attractive aspect of something like Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, that kind of lures people in who really recognize the potential for this. So if you think an ETF, just because of the institutional money all of a sudden is, automatically guaranteed to pump it because that's what it did for gold, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it shouldn't really have too much to do with your decision whether to buy this and hold it or sell it and get out because it's a scam. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind, because a lot of people are asking, either in the server or even by text, what about when do you think the ETF? From what I understand, it looks like February is realistically when you'd get a ruling. That'd be the actual deadline. Could happen before, but don't wait with bated breath for the result of that is my recommendation there. Again, in this market, you probably shouldn't be making very many moves. You should be researching things, trying to understand what's going on, try to understand that this is a constantly evolving arena, and that just the level of sophistication increases in terms of people trying to perpetrate just bullshit projects, shitcoins that really have no way of succeeding, versus things that are really fundamentally sound and have a good shot of being around in a few years. So that's really important to remember. This isn't just, the same old what it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago. There are new ways of presenting information that seem attractive